Abuse of drugs like Tylenol and Robitussin is the direct cause of hundreds of deaths every year. A study found that 662 patients with acute liver failure, 42%, that's 225 of those patients, had liver failure associated with acetaminophen liver injury. That's according to Neil Osterweil's article, Acetaminophen is Leading Cause of Acute Liver Failure. Drugs like Tylenol and Robitussin that are sold over the counter are harmful and should therefore be sold by prescription only. Tylenol contains high amounts of acetaminophen, and Robitussin contains high amounts of dextromethorphan, or DXM. Acetaminophen is a leading cause of liver failure, and DXM is abused by many people to send them on a robo-trip, which is similar to a type of a psychedelic high. Firstly, the harmful effects of these drugs will be explored. Next, the number of effects and the links between DXM and acetaminophen to illnesses and diseases will be investigated. And finally, solutions will be proposed to eliminate this issue. Too often, consumers are unaware of the dangers that can be exacerbated by the abuse of acetaminophen and DXM. So this brings me to my first point. Tylenol and Robitussin can be extremely dangerous. Tylenol contains 2 milligrams of acetaminophen that wreaks havoc on the liver. That's per pill, of course. DXM is also damaging to the liver, but what's so awful about Robitussin and about DXM is what the DXM does to the human brain. People abuse Robitussin for one reason and for one reason alone, for the high that it produces. The high that Robitussin bolsters is commonly referred to as a robotrip. These robotrips have similar highs to hallucinogens like LSD and magic mushrooms. They cause vivid visions, extreme relationships with music, loss of feeling in one's limbs, and prolonged period of time. Robitussin can also be used to make methamphetamine. Tylenol, on the other hand, is very damaging to the liver. Consistent use of as little as 7.5 grams per day of acetaminophen could lead to severe hepatic injury. That means that it could lead to liver failure very easily, according to Osterweil's findings. So something obviously must be done to stop the abuse of these substances. The abuse and overdose of controlled substances that are commonly found in pharmacies and other drug stores can also lead to other diseases. A controlled substance is defined as anything that's considered a drug, whether it's marijuana, cocaine, Tylenol, Robitussin, whatever. A drug does not have to be illegal. It just has to be something that could be considered a narcotic by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. So acetaminophen overdose, anything more than a package recommended 4 grams per day, has been associated with severe hepatic narcosis leading to acute liver failure, according to Osterweil. The abuse of these drugs can lead to necrosis, cirrhosis of the liver, and can also damage the neurons of the brain that help in process and store information. The liver is needed by the body to store fats and to break down sugars, necessary for cellular functions. Anciently, the liver was thought to be the organ within the human body that produced the emotions of love and hate. It was the hotbed of these two emotions. So, in turn, by eliminating the origin that is vital to the body for human survival, but are also disgracing their ancient ancestors by, albeit maybe unknowingly, not caring correctly for the seat within the body of the 2 most basic human emotions in history. So, what can actually be done to curb the abuse of these controlled substances? Well, Tylenol and Robitussin are both extremely harmful to the human body when used incorrectly, and should therefore be sold by prescription only. These medicines are necessary, no question, they're necessary, but they are so much easier for patients to get a hold of than so many other things. If one were to walk into any pharmacy today, one could purchase as much Tylenol and Robitussin as their heart desired. This may raise questions among the pharmaceutical staff, but the changing landscape of the United States health system has caused many doctors and pharmacists to become, at times, more lax and lenient with their patients and the medications that they use to prescribe that they prescribe their patients, rather. But it's not just pharmacies where people can get these harmful drugs. DXM can be purchased through the internet in powder form, and most people obtain the drug by buying or stealing medications that contain DXM. An array of more than 125 products, such as cough drops, syrups, and tablets. That's according to the Los Angeles Times article, A Bad Trip That Kills. Abusers can get a hold of these drugs very, very easily. Laws need to be passed by the federal government to make it illegal for these medications to be sold without a prescription. So let's review. Drugs like Tylenol and Robitussin should be sold by prescription only because they are extremely harmful to the human body. Thousands of people die from both the intentional and unintentional overdose of these drugs each and every year. Thousands more die from the diseases that could be contracted through the use and abuse of these harmful drugs. The federal government, to keep Americans safe, must pass laws to make these drugs available by prescription only. Americans must keep themselves safe from drugs like this and inform themselves of the dangers that they pose to avoid accidental overdoses in the future. 42% of liver failures are linked to the abuse of acetaminophen. It's time that lawmakers and Congress stepped up to the plate and started to look out for Americans by making Tylenol and Robitussin available to patients by prescription only.